Let me tell you something. 7 days without power can feel like an eternity. It may not sound like a lot of time. What's 7 days? 7 days straight consecutively, 7 days straight, day and night, could be an eternity when you don't have power. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode on this channel, the Save Money More with Jan channel. Let's talk about 7 day emergency stockpile tips. And imagine if it's a 7 day emergency without power, without much to eat. That's not very fun either. No, 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 no. Excuse me, please. There are a few things we could do ahead of time before anything happens. And the first couple of tips have nothing to do directly with food other than you're going to use them. Okay. Of course, the first thing we need is water. We'll get into that in a minute. But speaking of water, do not throw away your empty water bottles. You know, like when you buy a bottle of water and you drink it. Okay. Keep a few of them, fill them up 2/3 of the way. And please forgive this frog in my throat. It always seems to decide to happen when I have to speak, when I do a show. Excuse me. Thank you. Fill up the bottle 2/3 of a way with water. Why just 2/3 and not the whole way? Because when you freeze it, which is what you're going to do, you put it in the freezer, let it stay frozen, because the water expands, you don't want to burst your bottle. Okay. So what you do is fill it up 2/3 of the way with water, close it, put a few in the spaces in between your freezer. Jan, why am I doing that? It is a preventative method in case you lose power. Now, sometimes we lose power for very short periods of time, maybe a couple of hours, and that's the end of it. Fine, that's livable, right? But sometimes it goes a little longer than that. Isn't it good to be prepared and have a few of those bottles to extend the life of the stuff that is in your freezer? I vote yes. So that's a very simple thing to do. We could do this ahead of time. Next, oftentimes we have entertainment or parties or picnics, and we use paper plates, plastic forks, plastic spoons, um, disposable cups. Make sure you include, when you purchase that for parties, make sure you include a bit extra for, heaven forbid, of an emergency. Okay. You don't want to have to worry about scrubbing dishes. Okay. When power is out or whatever goes on, keep those handy and available. And you may not have to buy it. You may have a whole bunch of it left over from a party sitting somewhere else. Put everything like this in a smart spot that you're not going to forget. Because when you're in the middle of the crisis, the power thing, you don't want to be looking here, there, and everywhere in the middle of the night in the dark. No, keep things in a centralized location. That's why it's really important to keep your emergency supplies, especially in a centralized location, so you're not scattered about, like I said a minute ago, looking here, there, and everywhere. That's not the time for that. So, those two things having been said, okay, so I had checked, and according to what I've checked, when an emergency happens, it is suggested that for a per person in the household, a gallon a day of drinking water. Okay, if I read that correctly. So let's plan for 7 days, that is, right? If it is a two-person household, that would mean 2 gallons per day times 7 is 14 gallons for a 7 day supply. That does not include water that you need to bathe with, which you can store that and just dispose of every once in a while. Just keep those bottles separately, fill them up all you want, just in a decent place. Keep it in a, I would put it in a cool, dark space if it were me. So I'm just saying, but have a few of those bathing bottles, if you will. Okay, not for consumption, but for bathing purposes. So you could do that very easily. Again, what's the cost? If you collect, those plastic clean jugs and bottles and clean them out for that, very, very important. Now, a lot of people oftentimes forget to get tools. This should also go into your centralized location. Well, what do you mean by tools, Jen? Simple utensils, but are really important. We oftentimes take many things that we have in our homes or apartments for granted, such as a can opener. Now, normally you use your can opener, you open up your can. Not every can is a flip top. Don't get me wrong, they're handy, but not all cans are flip tops. Okay. So, yeah, they're not. So, make sure that you have a working, a decent, good quality can opener, that humble tool, something we don't think about much, but when you don't have it and you want to open a can, you're like, huh? Exactly. Okay. So be sure to keep that. Be sure to keep a pair of scissors, okay, and decent cutting knife if needed. Put them all again in a safe, centralized location so you're not looking all over the place when it's needed. These are the little things that matter. Don't forget also about making sure that you have some garbage bags, okay, like large trash bags, and of course, some paper towel as well, okay, and of course, some rags and some towels that have seen better days, perhaps. And you don't mind putting them into your emergency stockpiling area in case you need them for whatever the reason. I wouldn't know the reason. Okay. Don't forget the simple stuff, but that we take for granted. They're usually kept in our bathroom medicine chest, things like band aids, hydrogen peroxide, some of that medical stuff, like maybe a little bit of a first aid kit. Again, while things are nice and quiet, that's the time to get things ready. It's so much easier. You could pace it out. You don't have to buy everything all at once. No, you don't. Sometimes you just need to look around and have a scavenger hunt in your own home or apartment or basement or attic, right? And you'd be shocked and amazed, like, huh, I didn't know I had 4 boxes of band aids storing somewhere. Yeah. Also, over the counter medications, very, very important. Let's talk about shelf stable milk. Um, when you store powdered milk, which of course can be reconstituted to drinkable milk, the issue with that, and if you're okay with it, is that you need water. So if you don't mind using some of your drinking water for that, fine. If not, you could go to like some of the local dollar type stores, have the shelf stable milk that is all in one thing. You could just hang on to that. Very convenient. Again, build these things up slowly. You'll be shocked and amazed, like the goals that you're hitting, and just to know that you are ready, 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 ready. All right. Let's see. Honey. Honey is a natural sweetener. It's full of antioxidants, from what I read. It's a nutritious way to, to hang on to some energy. Get some good honey. Keep it. It lasts a really long, 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 long time. Put it that way. Okay, don't forget about sugar and salt. It's always a good thing to have that as well. Keep some comfort foods around. Comfort foods, yes, like perhaps maybe cookies or lollipop or chewing gum. Even if you got that nervous energy going on, a little bit of chewing gum wouldn't hurt. That's if you don't have any issues with your teeth. And of course, let's talk about food specifically, like food. All right, you can't go wrong with things like instant oatmeal, peanut butter, jelly, things of that nature, dried fruits, trail mix if that's what you like, granola bars, these are keepers, and fruit bars too are very good. Fruit and cereal type of bars. And don't forget about a dried cereal, pre-sweetened, the ones that the kids love, if they could have that. That's very handy, very convenient. So you could put some of that shelf stable milk, let's say, in a little bit of a bowl for the kids, and use it up. And buy smaller containers of the shelf stable milk, in my opinion, works great. You use it up as you need it, as opposed to opening up a big thing and then you don't need it and you can't store it. So I would think twice about that. People with special diets. Do you have anybody in your family with a special dietary need? Make sure that you address that issue ahead of time. Or young children or elderly. Keep things like, especially for the babies, the diapers and whatever else you need, the baby wipes, and get grown up wipes too, as a method of maintaining some sense of hygiene. These are really important things. Don't forget, of course, our wonderful canned goods, which we've taken for granted over the years. I don't know why some people don't respect or appreciate pre made canned goods. Where would we be without them? I've lived on them almost my entire life, actually, my entire life. Uh, I'm still here to talk about it. Hello. So, I mean, seriously, I think canned goods get a bad rap. I did a show about that in the past. I could talk more about canned meats, spam, tuna, pork, beef, ready-made complete meals, chili in a can, all done up, done. It's not gonna kill anyone. Open up a can of SpaghettiOs, or canned spaghetti with the meatballs. You could eat it as such. Okay, it's not gonna bother you if you actually have it from the can, is what I understood. I've done that, like when we were through a power outage, and I was okay with it. But everybody's different. You just may prefer to heat it up. If you have a heating source, that makes it all the better. Okay, so I'm just saying. But on occasion, to do that, in my opinion, my thought. I'm no doctor. I'm just saying what I did for me, and it didn't bother me. I can only speak for yours truly. But keeping things like the spam and stuff, when I had my refrigerator was out and I lived out of my pantry food, it was, listen, it's not the greatest thing in the world. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. I was grateful that I was already ready. So to be prepared is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Let me see. So we have tons and tons of choices. I could go on and on about it, but that's what Fridays are for. And perhaps another Friday in the not so distant future, we could delve more into it. Also include, okay, keep somewhere in your pantry. And I recommended this on Steve's show not long ago. If you ever use box cake mix, right? And you put your own, you put a can rather of another company's frosting on top. Those cans of frosting, the actual can itself, when you're finished with it, clean it out thoroughly. And you should put some petty emergency cash in those little cans of frosting. Put it in a place that only you would know about amongst your busy pantry, and you know where it is. And it's good to have emergency cash ready and available during a time of crisis. If the power is out, you're not going to be able to get a dime out of the ATM. Remember? Uh, no matter how sophisticated we are, if there's no power, there's no ATM. I'm just saying, to the best of my knowledge. That's I rather err on the side of caution. Now, maybe things have improved over time. They have some system that would work. I don't know that, but I'm just thinking, like, let's say, even like 10 years ago when we went through that, whatever. No ATMs. Glad we were ready. Always be prepared. The good news is, when things are nice and quiet, we get to do just that.